video number 2. Now we're going to use case number 2, which says the clinical social worker in a remote community in the Pacific Islander and Central American communities has trained paraprofessionals to do a mental health piece. Now the problem comes when a new policy comes into place, which is prohibiting unlicensed social workers from providing mental health counseling. Now, we have the first questions. What do you see as the ethical dilemma here for the social worker and for the State Department representative? Now, I think the dilemma is, first of all, I think is the quality of life. Because if there is only one mental health, that means that the budget is not enough to hire more people. So that's why I think these licensed mental health specialists has hired paraprofessionals or trained them to provide enough services for the community. What do you think, Lucy?
Well, yes, I also agree with you, and because I believe the only problem that I see is that after the social worker went through all that training and training the paraprofessional, because it's obvious they needed some help, or suddenly the laws change and they cannot use them, we will leave the social worker with more work to do and less help, to support. On the other hand, perhaps they're not going to be able to do the same duty as the social worker, but they could be like supporting, a very support staff who can help them with paperwork and processing different cases a little faster.
Right. And I think it's either the social worker and the State Department representative, they are both responsible for putting the policy into practice, right? But this is when the dilemma comes into place, right? Now, the other question is, which action would provide the best services to the clients?
Which actions in this case? It's obvious that if this paraprofessional went to the training, they should have the knowledge needed to be, kind of supported. Right now, what I would say, if the law was implemented after they were trained, I would not let them be affected, but I would just affect the people that is coming after them. Like they already been trained and they're working in the program. I don't see why they have to be left out of the program when that law was implemented before they were trained. I mean, after they were trained.
After they were trained. Well, yeah, I kind of agree with it, and I would think as well that the best action as well will be license those paraprofessionals or raising a little bit the budget to hire more actually licensed social workers so they can do what they're supposed to do.
Or perhaps just give them an extension so deadline in which they could get trained in order to get the license. But now they already inside the program, they have the basic knowledge, which means that they are working in the field. Right. So just giving an extension for them to get licensed eventually.
Right, eventually, but that will be a quality of services when we talk about, because we're talking about a community that is far away from the city, in a remote area. So, and as you said, to be licensed, it takes way longer. A paraprofessional could be trained probably 6 months, but to get licensed, you need a 4-year degree in order to do it. So that will be a little bit harder. That's what I think.
I guess any help that can be provided for a small community is always useful.
Right. I think, as long as it helps providing the services the community needs, so something could be done.
I believe that something can be done.
Now, as the social worker at the agency, what will you do to protect your paraprofessionals and the services they provide to your clients? What do you think would be something that could be done? Actually, I will write something to support the needs of that specific community. Because as I said before, one of the dilemmas that I think this community has is just protection of life with the needs that they may have, or things that, or when we put a policy into place, is what the policy makers are thinking about doing something that would be the least harm to that community in particular, trying to keep quality of life.
Perhaps just showing the benefits they can give having supporting staff, helping the social workers, and like how faster cases and can be, speed up, like the fact that you're having somebody helping you with the case.
Right. So you have to put up a plan
to prove that it is sufficient to have assistance.
Right, a plan, or you could provide even a research, supporting what you've been doing.
Yeah.
So this community keep receiving the services that they need.
It's like a web, you have the main person, the social worker, and then you have those little ramifications coming out of the web. They can supply us with all the information, so paperwork, so help and phone calls and all the duties that are part of the main block that is the social worker, like, helping.
Mm-hmm. Now the other question is, as a State Department representative, which may well be a social worker too, on what ethical grounds can you feel justified in enforcing the law? So you have
enforcing the law in case like the professionals?
Right, enforcing the law. What grounds? Well, I think the first ground is that you have to, put the policy into place, because probably is funding wise, that money is coming from federal government or state government or whomever is paying for this program. So probably is one of the things, right? Mm-hmm. So,
well, money wise, it could be a support excuse for not using the paraprofessional, but it's not an acceptable excuse when we're talking about human beings that need help.
Right, which is one of the very first things that we consider as a social worker, to enhance the well-being of the human being.
I'm pretty sure that when they decided to come with a new law, they may be through and have the reason why they decided to do that, but they were not taking into considerations the benefits. They also having a supporting staff could provide for the service.
Right, and as I said, just improve the quality of life of this remote community, because that's the again, that's the main point. The limitations that this community may face most of the time. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there a win-win solution to this dilemma? Can you think of a win-to-win solution?
Yeah, perhaps like if they want, well, the first thing that I would is, as I said at the beginning, giving the choices of these paraprofessionals if they eventually wants to become licensed could be one. The second could be like they could still provide services to the community, maybe with certain limitations that only the licensed social worker can provide, but that doesn't mean that they cannot still be as a support staff helping with other things in the cases that doesn't really require to have a license, like having a guidelines or duties that they can perform without the license within the same social working department.
Right, that would be a support personnel as well.
Yes, a support personnel.
I also think that could be time frame that this program in this community can have, so they can transition with a backup plan while the community receives services at the same time.
Yes.
So they could do both.
Usually people that are trained in an area and are working like these paraprofessionals, they might not have this license or the title, but they might have the knowledge because they're experiencing and working with a license, so they're working through a period of time. We give them the knowledge and ability to be able to perform a good job.
Empirical mental health especially.